Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're going to dive into a pretty wild theory, one that tries to connect the dots between Nikola Tesla, ancient civilizations, and maybe even the fundamental nature of reality itself.
It all starts with this one quote from Nikola Tesla. Now, you have to understand, for him, this wasn't just some poetic idea. This was physics. And according to the source material we're looking at, this one sentence, well, it unlocks a completely different way of seeing the entire universe.
So, what exactly was this cosmic secret? Well, it all kicks off with a really simple, but kind of profound observation about the world all around us.
Okay, so here's the absolute core of it. The idea is that everything in the universe, and I mean everything, from a single grain of sand to a whole galaxy, is in a constant state of vibration. Each thing has its own specific frequency, where it just naturally hums. And here's the crucial part. If you can identify that frequency, you can manipulate the object. It's like finding the master key to matter itself.
Now here's where it gets really interesting. This idea, which sounds super modern and scientific, right? It actually echoes some of the oldest beliefs from all across the globe.
Yet long before modern science, it seems like ancient civilizations just knew. They had this intuitive understanding that sound wasn't just something you hear. Nope, it was the force that actually creates.
And you see this pattern pop up everywhere. In Christianity, creation begins with the Word. In Hinduism, Om is the primordial sound. The Egyptians believed a god literally sang the universe into existence. It's this recurring theme over and over across cultures. Sound is the source code of reality.
For centuries, these were just myths, spiritual concepts. But today, science allows us to literally see the creative power of sound in action.
It's a field called cymatics. The premise is actually pretty simple. You place some particles, like sand, on a metal plate, and then you vibrate it with a specific sound frequency. What happens next is just astounding. The sound organizes those random particles into precise, complex, geometric shapes.
And this is where the theory makes a really stunning visual connection. On the left, you see a cymatic pattern. That's just sand being organized by pure sound. On the right, an ancient stone circle. The source draws a direct line between them, suggesting these aren't just random arrangements, but physical representations of sound frequencies, frozen in stone.
So that leads to a pretty radical question. If these patterns are real and the ancients understood them, this wasn't just art, it was technology.
So if this wasn't just about creating pretty patterns, what was the real application? I mean, what kind of power could you actually wield if you master the planet's own vibrations?
According to the source, the possibilities were practically limitless. They could convert sound into light, use acoustic pressure to levitate massive stone blocks, and this is the big one, they could tap into the Earth's natural frequencies to generate almost unimaginable amounts of energy. The theory gets even more specific here. It claims that many of these distinctive, flower-shaped stone circles weren't for rituals at all. They were giant energy devices, known as magnetrons. Structures literally designed to gather and amplify the Earth's natural frequencies.
And the scale of this is it's staggering. The source calculates that a single one of these stone circles, just 40 meters across, could generate more power than all of the power plants on Earth combined today. Just one. And we're not talking about just a handful of these. The source claims thousands of these devices are scattered all across southern Africa alone, forming a massive energy grid. And a major site like Adam's calendar, that was like a central collection point, a hub for all that power.
Now, to really accept this idea of a vibrational universe, the source argues that you have to challenge one of the most fundamental particles in all of modern physics.
And this brings us right back to Tesla. In a 1928 interview, he stated it flatly. He disagreed with the atomic theory and did not believe in the electron as science pictured it. I mean, that's a shocking statement coming from one of history's greatest electrical engineers. But the source points out that even Einstein had his doubts. He admitted that he couldn't explain what forces held an electron together, and he said that its true nature remained obscure. Even he knew something was missing.
So the theory concludes that the electron isn't a particle in the way we're all taught in school. Instead, it's a concept that was introduced into science to steer us away from a truer understanding of reality, one based not on particles, but on resonance and vibration.
So, if we follow this logic all the way to its conclusion, our entire understanding of the ancient world gets turned completely upside down. It forces us to ask a whole new question. If these massive, complex stone structures weren't built for gods or for pharaohs, what was their real purpose? And here's the radical reinterpretation. Where history sees a temple at Karnak, this theory sees a circuit board. The fortress of Sacsayhuaman, more circuitry. And the Great Pyramids? They weren't tombs. They were massive powerhouses. And that brings us to the grand thesis. The ancient world wasn't primitive. It was a technologically advanced civilization that built a planet-wide network of machines. Machines made of stone, powered by the sound of the earth, and activated by the sun.
It's a breathtaking vision of the past, and it leaves us with one final, massive question. If this theory holds any truth, and our planet was once wired up like a giant machine, what was that machine built to do?